It's time for science with Mr. Lawrence and Alien Space Doggy. So what are we learning about today, Alien Space Doggy? Yes, that's one thing that all scientists do. It's to make conclusions. And what is a conclusion? It's ideas from what you see and ideas from what you find out. Let's look at one example here. This is a photograph from when I was a baby, Alien Space Doggy. I know that was a long time ago. Yes, you noticed that I didn't really have much hair. I know. But let's look at this picture and let's make some conclusions about the difference between babies, children, and adults. So I want everyone watching to look carefully at this picture to make some ideas. Look at me, the baby. Look at my parents, the adults. And look at my older brother, who was a child. What is different about me, the baby, compared to my parents? What is different about me, the baby, compared to my older brother? What ideas do you have? Ruff, ruff, ruff. Okay, let's look at our sizes first. Yes, that's right. What can you say about my size as a baby compared to my parents' size? Yes, I am much smaller. I am much smaller. You see how my dad was able to just hold me in his arms like that? Okay, what about my older brother? He's standing in the green shirt under me. Okay, yes, that's true. He has a lot more hair. Okay, and he is taller than me. Right, he's not as tall as my parents. So my parents are adults. What do you notice about my parents, Alien Space Doggy? Yes, they are much taller than both my brother and me as a baby. Yep, they do have hair. Oh, that's a really good thing that you saw, Alien Space Doggy. You see the size of my head compared to the size of my father's head. Oh, I see what you're saying now, Alien Space Doggy. Yes, you're talking about the size of my head when I was a baby compared to the size of the rest of my body. Yes, I see now. Baby's head is bigger compared to the rest of the body. Adult's head is smaller compared to the rest of the body. Okay, yes, you're right. The length of my baby head is like almost the length of like half my arm. Yes, but the length of my father's head is not close to half of the length of his arm. Oh, so it's like a baby's head is a much bigger part of a baby's body. And for adults, the rest of their body is much longer. So their head is not a big part length of their body. Yeah, you're right. It looks like I had a very big head when I was a baby. Who is your friend, Alien Space Doggy? Oh, hi, Pink Bear. Alien Space Doggy, is Pink Bear going to help us make ideas from what we see and make ideas from what we find out? Good. Oh, so for this next part, I see that we have 3 pictures of Pink Bear. That's right, Alien Space Doggy. It's not just Pink Bear. There are 2 pens in each picture, too. So what we want to try to figure out is which picture happened first, which picture happened second, which picture happened third. That's right. We are trying to figure out the order of the pictures. We are making ideas based on what we see. So for everyone watching, what do you think? Which picture do you think happened first? Which picture do you think happened second? And which picture do you think happened third? Okay, let's take a look at each picture. In the first picture, you see the 2 pens are on the floor. In the second picture, the 2 pens are on the table. What about the third picture? That's right. 1 pen is on the floor, but 1 pen is still on the table. Yeah, that is something that you see, Alien Space Doggy. In the third picture, the pen on the table is very close to the edge of the table. Maybe Pink Bear was being naughty. Well, what else do you notice about where Pink Bear is standing, Alien Space Doggy? That's right. In the first picture, Pink Bear is standing close to the edge of the table. Yup, in the second table, Pink Bear is farthest away from the edge of the table. And that's right. In the third picture, Pink Bear is closer to the edge of the table, but is really close to that pen that is on the edge of the table. Did any of you change your minds? So what do you think, Alien Space Doggy? Which picture came first? Which picture happened first? And why? I totally agree. I think the second picture, this one, happened first. Because there are 2 pens that are both still on the table, and Pink Bear is farthest away from the edge of the table. So Pink Bear is moving towards the edge of the table as time goes by. So what do you think happened next? I agree. I think the third picture happened next. Pink Bear is closer to the edge of the table, and Pink Bear has pushed 1 pen off the table, so it's now on the ground. So that means which is the third picture? What happened third? Alien Space Doggy? Yes, I agree. This picture happened last. This picture happened last. By now, Pink Bear is close to the edge of the table, and Pink Bear has pushed both pens off the table. Yep. So what happened first? Yes, this picture is what happened first. Both pens are still on the table. Then what happened next? Yep, Pink Bear pushed 1 pen off the table. Then what happened last? That's right, Pink Bear pushed the second pen off the table. So we just made our ideas based on the clues that we could see in each picture. All right, Alien Space Doggy, what time is it? It's experiment time! So, today's experiment, I'm going to use some liquids. And I don't want to splash the liquid on you. Alien Space Doggy. So is it okay if you sit over there and watch? Okay. There you are. Can watch the whole experiment. For today's experiment, what I want to find out is which liquids are similar and which liquids are not. So here I have just a regular glass with some water in it. First, I want to see the water compared to oil, cooking oil. So I'm just going to see if the water and the oil will mix. I pour the oil in. Can you see? The oil are those bubbles at the top, and they're not mixing down with the water. Well, maybe it's just because I haven't stirred. So I have a fork that I'm going to use to try to stir to get the oil to mix with the water. Did it work? Did the oil mix down with the water? Doesn't look like it. Looks like the oil is still in a layer at the top. But these two aren't the only liquids I have. I also have liquids I used to cook with. Do you like to cook, Alien Space Doggy? I guess. So I have some soy sauce that I used to cook with. So let's see what happens. Is the soy sauce more like the oil, or is the soy sauce more like the water? Let's find out. So I'm going to pour the soy sauce in. Whoa! What do you see? Now it looks like I have 3 layers. Right away the soy sauce went beneath the oil into the water, and it's actually in the bottom of the water. Does this mean that the soy sauce is not like the water and that the soy sauce is also not like the oil? Well, I still have my fork, so let's give it a stir. Stir, 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 stirring. Okay, let's see what happened after I stirred. Okay, I see that the soy sauce has stirred in and mixed with the water. So now this water is this kind of lighter brown color, but the oil layer is still at the top. So did the soy sauce mix with the oil? No, it didn't. Did the soy sauce mix with the water? What do you see? Did the soy sauce mix with the water? Yes, the soy sauce mixed with the water. So, what are the ideas based on what we found out in this experiment? Well, one idea is that water and oil do not mix, right? Another idea is that water and soy sauce do mix. But we have even a bigger idea. So what does that mean? Which 2 liquids are similar? Which 2 liquids are alike? What do you think? Which 2 liquids are like each other? Is it the soy sauce and the oil that's like each other? Is it the water and the oil that are similar? Is it the water and the soy sauce that are similar? Which 2 liquids are like each other? What do you think? Alien Space Doggy, what do you think? I agree with you, Alien Space Doggy. The water and the soy sauce, those are the 2 liquids that are like each other. Those are the 2 liquids that are similar because they mixed with each other. But because the water does not mix with the oil, the water is not like the oil. And because the soy sauce did not mix with the oil, the soy sauce also is not like the oil. So those are the ideas based on what we found out in this experiment. Hi, Alien Space Doggy. Why are you sitting on a book? Well, I guess you're right. It's not that uncomfortable to sit on a book. Should we try a science experiment and drop the book? That's right. You can fly anyways. Maybe let's try another experiment with everybody. Great. All right, everyone. It's time for us to do the experiment where you try at home. Yep. So kids, I'm going to tell you what you need to find, and then you can try this at home. Okay, I'm going to have you sit right here, Alien Space Doggy. All right, kids. So what you need to go find now are 2 pieces of paper. Any kind of paper is fine. Notebook paper, drawing paper, 2 pieces of paper. Okay? And you also need to have a small book with soft covers, not hard covers. Small book with soft covers. Okay? So I'll give you a bit of time to go find these objects. 2 pieces of paper and a small book with a soft cover. Go! What do you think, Alien Space Doggy? You think they can find 2 pieces of paper and a book with a small, soft cover? Let's give him some more time. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 boing boing. I think that's enough time. Alien Space Doggy, are you okay sitting in the same place you did for the other experiment? Oh, okay. Let's have you sit right here. Okay, kids, so I hope by now you have 2 pieces of paper and a small book with soft covers. So now you're going to take one of the pieces of paper and you're going to stand up. This is going to get kind of freaky when I stand up. Whoa! There we go. Okay, so you have 1 piece of paper and stand up. You're going to take the paper, put it kind of next to your head, and drop the piece of paper. Drop the piece of paper. Do it with me right now. 1, 2, 3, drop. What happened when you dropped the paper? What did you see? What did you see happen when you dropped the paper? You can tell me. What did you see, Alien Space Doggy? Yeah, the paper kind of floated to the ground, didn't it? Okay. Now you're going to go and get the piece of paper you dropped because we need it for another part. So remain standing. Take the second piece of paper, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to crunch the second piece of paper into a little ball. Like this. Are we ready? We're going to drop it again together. 1, 2, 3, drop. What happened? What happened when this paper that was in the shape of a ball dropped? You can tell me. What happened? What did you see, Alien Space Doggy? Yeah, that was very different, right? Did the paper ball float on its way down slowly? No, it dropped fast. So based on what we saw, we have a flat piece of paper, and then we took same paper but made it into a ball. Two very different things happened. So what are your ideas based on what you saw and what you found out? What are your ideas for why they fell in such different ways? Why did this paper float to the ground slowly while this paper fall to the ground fast? What do you think? What are your ideas? Okay. What do you think, Alien Space Doggy? What do you think? Yeah, it was almost like something was pushing the paper up while it was falling. But the paper that was in the shape of a ball fell very fast. What do you think might be pushing up this flat paper? That's a hard question. What do you kids think? What is pushing up this flat paper, but is not causing the ball to be slow? Could it be the air? The air is pushing up on this flat piece of paper? But isn't the air pushing the ball too? What about the ball makes it fall fast? I think you're right. The shape of the ball, right? The shape of the ball cuts through the air. The shape of the flat paper allows the air to push up all across the bottom. Okay, so let's do our third experiment. Let's take the flat sheet of paper and we're going to use the small softcover book. Okay. I want you to take the flat sheet of paper and put it on top of the small softcover book. Not going to tape it on, not going to glue it on, just put it on the small softcover book. If the paper is much bigger than the book, you're going to need to fold the paper first, like this, so that it can sit on the book. Okay, the paper has to sit on the book. Okay, let's see what happens when we drop the paper on the small softcover book. Is it going to be like when it's by itself flat, or is it going to be more like when it's by itself in a ball shape? Let's see. Okay, let's do it all together. 1, 2, 3, drop. Whoa! Did you see that? You can do it again. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, drop. Whoa! What did you see? What happened to the flat piece of paper? Did it fall slow or did it fall fast? That's right. It fell fast this time, even though it was flat. Why? What are your ideas? So I like your ideas about why the paper fell fast when it was on top of the book. Yeah, I agree. It's like the book cut through the air for the paper, and the paper was just on top for the ride down. So what we've been doing this whole time, through all these little experiments and challenges, is that we were making ideas based on what we saw and making ideas based on what we found out. Ideas from what we saw, ideas from what we found out, that's making conclusions. So we've been making conclusions this whole time. So we're going to end today with a song about making conclusions. I want all of you to sing along, okay? I'm going to sing the song the first time. Join me the second and third time. I make conclusions all the time, these ideas from what I find, these ideas from what I see. We will share them, you and me. I make conclusions all the time, these ideas from what I find. Sing with me. I make conclusions all the time, these ideas from what I find, these ideas from what I see. We will share them, you and me. I make conclusions all the time, these ideas from what I find. One more time. I make conclusions all the time, these ideas from what I find, these ideas from what I see. We will share them, you and me. I make conclusions all the time, these ideas from what I find. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time. Bye.